Hello, I'm Deneitra Hutchinson, and welcome to Columbia Matters. Mike has the month off. In this month's show, we'll get information about the grand reopening of Splashdown, CA's tree planting program, and the history of Hobbits Glen Golf Club and its golf club project. We will also drop by the Columbia Athletic Club to meet a unique group of members and help you prepare for your first marathon. But right now, we'll head over to the Columbia Arts Center to learn more about the teen classes that they offer.
March is Youth Art Month. It is a perfect time to learn and explore your inner artist by taking classes here at the Columbia Arts Center. Along with me, I have Monica Herbert, Day and Youth Programmer, to discuss more about the classes offered here for the teens. I have to say there are wonderful art pieces around. Can you please tell me a little bit more about this?
Sure. This is a show called Making the Invisible Visible. It's a reaction from Long Reach High School art students about the children soldiers in Uganda, in the Ugandan War. And we have another show that features our students that take classes here actually at the Art Center. They're right over here if you'd like to take a look.
Wow. Now, this is the kind of art that I will personally hang in my bedroom.
This art was actually produced by the students in our Visiting Artist series. We have guest artists come when the children are out of school, and they come and they learn how to do a different type of art technique.
Okay. Can you tell us more about the classes?
Sure. This is actually an example of our comic workshop. The prints up above are from our student art attack program that comes here twice a month. And you're going to be meeting Clinton and Chris to talk to you more about some of the teen programs that we offer. And I'll meet you downstairs in the ceramics department when you're done.
All right, sounds great. Hi, Mr. White.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, and yourself?
Good.
Good, good. I'm really interested in taking this class. Do you create your own comics?
Yes, I do. I create a lot of comics in my own free time. I also do web comics online. I create them, write them, and draw them myself.
What aspects of cartooning do you cover in your workshop?
We cover a whole bunch of things, starting from creating a story, creating a character, then writing it, drawing it, and making a full finished comic. I try to cover the whole spectrum of comics, from Western superhero comics, Japanese manga-styled comics, and Saturday morning cartooning.
Okay. Does this class include having to create your own characters, and do you have to be an artist to take this class?
Yes, the kids will create their own characters along with a story, and then they'll do comics about their original characters. I expect that you know some of the basics with drawing coming into this class, because this class focuses on doing cartooning and actually making the comics.
Thank you for your time, Mr. White.
You're welcome.
Now I'm off to learn more about costume designing.
Cool.
Mr. Chris, how are you?
Hi, Dwayne. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Costuming seems like an interesting class. Can you tell us about your background in theater?
Sure. Well, I studied theater in college, and I've been working as a theater artist in Baltimore City for a couple of years now, and it's something that I really enjoy, and I've worked pretty much through every aspect of the process. And so with this class, I'm going to be focusing namely on costuming.
Okay. What types of tools will we use to design the costumes?
Well, I'm glad you asked. If you take a look here, I've got 3 different items that I've prepared here. We're going to be using found items, such as this scarf, for example. Now, this is something that I just had lying around. And the cool thing about this is we could find this at a thrift store or in an old closet, and it could literally be hundreds and hundreds of things. It could be a belt, it could be a hat, it could be a sash, it could be some sort of shawl, some sort of cape. Then you have other items like this one that are specifically sought out, specifically bought. This particular one I got from a costume shop, I think, very cheaply. But what you usually want to do is you want to start with one central item that you sort of build the costume from, and that's going to be the main thing that sort of sells the whole thing. Okay. And the last bit that we're focusing on is, of course, made items. This particular mask here was made by somebody here at the Art Center, and it appears to be of a lion. And so something like this would be an excellent central piece to a costume adding on to this.
Will the students have the chance to create their own costumes by the end of class?
Absolutely. That's going to be our final culminating thing, is that the students are going to decide what they want their costume to look like, what sort of pieces they want to work in, and then we're going to build one, and it's going to be great. It's going to be really intense and awesome.
Well, that sounds exciting. I'll have to meet Miss Monica about the ceramic classes.
Okay, take care, Dwayne. Nice meeting you.
Hey, Dwayne, so what did you think?
Well, the ceramics look very nice, and I'm really impressed with the classes that they have offered here for the teens. Where can we go to find out more information about this?
We have a website for the Art Center, and we also have a Facebook page.
All right, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Back to you, Deneitra.
The Columbia Athletic Club has a group of members that get together every morning. Kathy Marshall introduces us.
The Columbia Athletic Club opened in 1971. A group of the club's original members have been meeting here ever since and still do so every morning. What is it about the Columbia Athletic Club that has kept you coming here all these years?
The people. That's, for me, it's the people. I mean, a good group of people. It's a comfortable place to come and exercise and socialize. We sometimes say jawboning is one of our best exercises.
And in addition to the people who work here, very friendly. I've visited other gyms and they are nearly as friendly and as inviting as they are here. And so that's part of the drawing card.
Okay, well, I come here to get up-to-the-date information on the news, what happened over the weekend with the games. So you come in, you sit down, you're here for about 5 minutes, you ask all the fellows what happened, what's going on in the world today, what's the news, what's your opinions, and then I'm out of here in 6 minutes. And I got all that scoop, the news, sports, and nutrition. So that's why I come.
Well, do you spend more time socializing or more time working out?
We exercise, then we socialize. And in between, we have a whole lot of laughter. And if you look at any of the studies, you will find that laughter prolongs life. And we believe in it. So we solve the problems of the world, and we laugh after exercising, of course.
Yeah, because I do all the classes with the young people. I mean, I do Zumba and kickboxing and you name it. You know, I figure I can do it as well as they can, so I continue to do it as long as I can.
Do you hold each other accountable for getting here every morning?
I would say to a great extent. I know that there's a lot of caring in the club, in this group.
Would you then consider the people in this group your extended family?
During the course of last year, we lost several members. Chuck DeShields, Doug Morgan, and our dear friend, Lenny Taylor. In addition, we have members who've been here for years who are elderly. We have a 94-year-old who comes in 3 times a week. We have a couple of 84-year-olds who are in here on a daily basis. Yes, we do miss people from day to day, and we ask about them when they're not here. When they're traveling, they come back, we want to know what they saw, what they experienced. So it's clearly extended family.
And if they miss a day or two, we'll be sure to call them at home to find out, well, what's going on? How come you weren't at the club or whatever? So there is like you say, an accountability issue.
It's unique that you've continued to meet here together all these years. I think it's so important to know that the Columbia Athletic Club is not only a place where you can exercise effectively, but you can develop lifelong friendships. I've really been pleased to meet all of you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Leslie Flynn is the general manager here at the Athletic Club. Why do you think the regulars meet here every morning?
I think that they really get it. They understand the true meaning of well-being, and they understand that it's more than just a physical presence and a physical exercise. They understand that it's also a mental, an emotional, and a social support that you need as well.
Can you give us a brief description of the activities here at the club?
We have basically a variety of equipment, you know, the typical equipment, treadmills, ellipticals, bikes, strength equipment, but we also have a variety of classes as well that are really range for all ages.
Something for everyone. That
Absolutely.
about describes it, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? Thanks for meeting with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Thanks.
Back to the studio.
Thanks, Kathy. Hobbits Glen Golf Club will be undergoing changes. The community's input is very important in the decisions that are being made to improve the club. Here to tell us more about this project are head golf professional and general manager of golf at CA, Joan Lovelace, and Rick Snellinger, President and CEO of the H. Chambers Design Group. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, Joan, I'm going to start with you. Would you tell us what year the golf club, the clubhouse was built, and why the need for improvements now?
Well, the golf course was built in the early 60s, and now it may be a different era back in the 60s. And the golf club it's a beautiful golf course, championship golf course, and the building, unfortunately, is not big enough to really handle the size of groups that are attracted to the club.
So Rick, talk to us a little bit about how you would describe the various approaches you're taking to potentially renovating or raising the golf club, whatever's going to happen.
Great. Well, we've been engaged to really develop three options for Hobbits Glen. The first option is to look at just renovating and perhaps expanding the existing structure. The second option is to look at perhaps just a completely new building, adding all the new amenities and the trends of the private club industry. And the third option has been referred to as the architect's choice, which might be a little bit more futuristic in terms of the architectural style, and also may involve more changes to the golf course itself.
So what are some of the specific challenges in potentially renovating the club, for example?
Well, as Joan said, that building was built in the 60s, so it has a significant number of years of age on it, and with that comes deferred maintenance. So we have to address the deferred maintenance.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about what types of amenities your design team has been discussing, whether it's renovation or rebuilding.
Most people come to the club, and what do? They want to go outside, they want to have terrace dining, so we want to incorporate that as well. And with either the renovation or the new clubhouse, we want to see if we can get the golf carts underneath the building and get them out of the sight line.
Joan, I'm going to finish up with you. Can you tell us when the next community meeting will take place so that people can come out and give their input?
Our next community meeting will be on March 12th at 7 p.m. at the Amherst House at King's Contrivance.
Great. And will the club remain open during the renovations?
Yes, unfortunately I believe the clubhouse itself will be closed, but we'll be working out of trailers, and the golf course itself will remain open.
Because you'll have to do that, right? Well, thank you both for being here, and thank you for giving residents a voice, in this process so they can be pleased with the outcome, hopefully.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Repairs have been made, and CA's popular Splashdown at the Columbia Swim Center will have a grand reopening this month. Dennis Mattey has all the details.
Splashdown is set for a grand reopening on March 24th. With me today is Assistant Operations Manager for Aquatics Brandon Thornton to tell us all about Splashdown. Brandon, it's good to have you here.
Good to see you, Dennis.
I understand the Splashdown was closed for some repairs. Can you tell me about that?
Well, after so many years of operations, it was time that we did a little maintenance and some upgrades to our tower stairs and to make sure that everything was safe and...
A little fine-tuning?
A little fine-tuning, that's all.
Brandon, when did Splashdown open?
Splashdown opened over 25 years ago, believe it or not. So, again, after 2.5 decades.
So 25 years we've had Splashdown here.
Yes, and so after 2.5 decades, like I said, we just needed to do a little tweaking to make sure that everything was still good.
Brandon, I understand there's a bunch of special events planned for the grand reopening on March 24th. Tell me about those events.
On March 24th, when we do our grand reopening, we're going to have free admission to all the public. We're going to have some giveaways. We're going to have some discounts for birthday parties bought that day. We're going to have a great time.
Brandon, exactly how does the flume work? What age group? Is it for adults? Is it for kids? How does that work?
It's fun for the whole family. I mean, we have the wading pool for the kids that are a little bit too small for the slides, and then we've got the slides, which are great for anybody 6 and to 80.
Now, it looks a little scary. How many feet is it? How fast do I go? How much fun am I going to have?
It is 360 feet of whirling, twirling, spinning, turning fun, okay? It goes about 15 miles per hour, starts 4 stories high, and it comes out right behind you where you see over there.
And we have lifeguards trained, and everybody's ready for the 24th?
We have 7 lifeguards on staff during splashdown operations to ensure safety is paramount.
It sounds like it's going to be a great time. How do I find out more information?
You go to www.columbiapools.org, and they'll have all the information that you can find.
Brandon, it sounds like it's going to be a great event. Residents are excited about the Splashdown grand reopening on March 24th. I know I'm looking forward to it. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Dennis. Columbia Association's tree planting program is part of CA's Watershed Management Plan. Here to tell us more about the program are CA President Phil Nelson and John McCoy, CA's Watershed Manager. Thank you guys for coming to the show today.
Good to be here.
Let's start with you, Phil. Tell us a little bit about the need for the watershed management program.
Well, one of the elements that we're working on here, and what John is going to be talking about more today, is how we're going to use some of Columbia's 3,500 acres of open space and how we're going to kind of try to do our part to slow down the flows of waste or stormwater that goes through, as well as the velocity that it does. And one of those ways of doing that is to plant trees. And again, John has done an excellent job of making sure that we're trying to do our part as CA to improve the environment, to slow the flow, to do our part to kind of keep things from getting into the Chesapeake Bay and ruining that natural wonder.
That's right. Now, John, you've been on the show several times before. We've talked a lot about the management program, but what types of projects are in place or have you already implemented under this particular plan?
Under this particular plan, we have built several what we call bioretention facilities, which are basically large rain gardens that treat parking lot areas. We built one over by Elkhorn Landing, and we built one up by the YMCA on Homespun, and we have 10 or so more that we're building. We'll start another one over off Windbell Court and Owen Brown in about 3 weeks.
Great. Now, tell us a little bit about the tree planting and how specifically it helps the watershed.
Well, trees are actually kind of magnificent when you look at them. One of the things that they do with their architecture is leaves and trunks intercept rainfall. So a medium-sized tree over the course of a year might actually catch 2,000 gallons of water that falls as rain, and it slows that flow down. It lets it fall down on the ground very slowly, which also then allows it to soak into the ground so we can reduce the volume of runoff that leaves our property.
Okay, so that's therefore the reason. Okay, so is there a website that residents can go to for more information on upcoming events?
ColumbiaWatershed.org is our watershed website,
yes. Okay, well that was simple. We'll put that up on the screen, and thank you guys for both being here, and Phil, we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thinking of running a marathon? Well, it takes lots of training and dedication. Dr. Oken has tips on how to prepare so that you can be ready.
Hi, I'm Dr. Harry Oken for Columbia Matters. This month, I want to talk to you about identifying your program to get fit. Everyone should have a program, and it's important to put positive pressure on yourself to create your program. And that's what I'm asking my patients when they come in and we talk about exercise. What is your program? Now, part of having a program is having a goal, whether it's a goal weight or an event that you want to compete with or in. You should have a goal and put positive pressure on yourself. Now, one thing that I like to do is run, and there are a number of running events all over Columbia throughout the year. One event that's coming up is the Iron Girl, a half marathon. It's going to be at the end of April. You still have time to actually train for it. And so we're going to talk about now training for your first race. Let's make it a running event. Now, depending on the distance, you have to decide on how you're going to train. And training involves getting that exercise on a regular basis and increasing how you're doing that over that period of time until you peak and get to the distance that you're ready to run for. So let's say you're going to run, let's say, the half marathon, which is at the end of April. You have 8 weeks to do it. You need a running base, and the running base should increase throughout the week, and each week you should increase your running base. Now, when you go out to run, you need to be prepared. And here's some of the things I'd like you to think about for being prepared. First, you have to have an adequate pair of good running shoes. They don't have to be the most expensive, but they need to be cushioned for you. So inspect your running shoe and make sure that it's not worn down, that the heels are in good condition, and that the lacing is adequate. So inspect your shoes regularly, make sure that you're changing shoes periodically. You can wear out shoes pretty easily after about 300 or 400 miles, most people need a new pair of shoes. Eye protection is important, particularly if it's sunny out. So get yourself a good set of eyeglasses to run in, particularly if it's windy or sunny. Skin protection is important. Make sure you're getting adequate sunscreen if you're going out between 10 and 2, particularly once it warms up and there's more sunlight. For some people who are running long distances, you might actually want to get nipple protection. Yes, the constant rubbing of your shirt, particularly if you're sweaty, can irritate your nipples. Finally, You want to make sure that if something happens and you're not able to speak for yourself, that there's some identifying information that you can actually rely on. So that's how you get ready. The week of the half marathon, you take it easy. You may run every other day, but cut your distance down. Certainly don't run at least the day before the half marathon. A couple other things that are very important. If you're not presently conditioned, before you embark on training, you might want to speak to your doctor. Oftentimes, if you're over 40 and deconditioned, a stress test is recommended before you engage in very rigorous activity. On the day of the race, it's important to be well hydrated and also try to have something to eat at least 2 to 3 hours before the event. This is important to give you some stamina. Also, it's important to check your feet on the day of the race before you put your socks on. You might even think about putting some Vaseline on the tips of your toes to make sure that you don't get a rub and blister. People decide to compete in events for many reasons, and over the years we've talked to different people about this. Let's hear what they have to say.
Well, I'm a physical therapist, and I think it's important to set yourself out as a role model, that I'm telling my patients to exercise, that I should be exercising as well, and showing my kids, teaching my kids to be a role model and exercise, how important it is.
And this is my second year doing this, and it has just inspired me and made me stronger, and I have reached my goal.
Create your program. Find your passion. Compete. This has been Health with Dr. Harry Oken. I'll see you next month.
Thanks, Dr. Oken. Earlier, we talked about improvements that are being made at the Hobbits Glen Golf Club. Now, Barbara Kellner takes us back to where it all began in 1967. Here is the history of the Hobbits Glen Golf Club in its early years.
Hobbits Glen celebrates its 45th birthday this year. So we journey back to the days of $4 greens fees, Sam Snead, and Jack Nicklaus. The course opened the same time that Columbia opened, June 1967. A completed golf course made a statement about the full range of amenities that Columbia would afford its residents and Howard County. Hobbits Glen was designed as a championship caliber course. The architect was Ed Alt, who had designed the Baltimore Country Club, among dozens of others. Jess Sweetser was called in to consult on the project. Sweetser may not be a household name now, but he was an amateur golfer best known as the first American-born player to win the British Am in 1922. In 1968, just a year after it opened, crowds descended on Hobbits as it hosted the Middle Atlantic PGA Championship. The course drew praise from the press, citing the careful guidance of the greens crew and Superintendent John McDonald. Chip, as he was known to Hobbits members, later founded McDonald & Sons, which is regarded as a top golf course construction company today. Sam Snead and Jack Nicklaus were the stars that attracted a gallery of 4,000. More recently, in 1998, Arnie's Army mobilized when Palmer played in the State Farm Senior Classic, along with other golf greats, including Chichi Rodriguez and Lee Trevino. About 80,000 fans visited over the course of the tournament. While the course was built to high standards, apparently the clubhouse was not. The original clubhouse was designed by Potter and Beck of Towson. From the beginning, the clubhouse was less than what was really desired. To meet the economic model, many adjustments had to be made to pare down the design. A memo to Columbia's project director, Bill Finley, says, "Building has been reduced in size to the point that no additional space can be removed without seriously jeopardizing the attractiveness of the course to potential members." About a year and a half later, a year after the club opened, another internal memo reveals, "We share your concern about the size of the Hobbits Glen Clubhouse, and as soon as possible we'll take steps to recommend an improved building." Through the years, there have been renovations and changes to the clubhouse. Locker rooms, once delegated to the basement, have moved to the main level. The loft is a gathering space rather than a storage space. The restaurant has moved around and been upgraded from a simple snack bar to a full-scale restaurant.
The name of the eatery has changed from Hobbits Glen Golf Lounge to Hobbits Glen Restaurant and Lounge to Bogies to Coho Grill. Major changes to the clubhouse are currently under study. Keep up with the latest news on the website. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in again next month as we continue to explore Columbia.
Thanks, Barbara. Mark your calendars for the March 12th Community Sit-Down meeting at Amherst House at 7 p.m. Don't forget to bring the entire family to the reopening of Splashdown at the Columbia Swim Center on March 24th from 1 until 6 p.m. To find out about other events happening in the area, visit columbiacalendar.org. To learn more about this program, log on to columbiamatters.org. Connecting with CA is easier than you think. Visit us on Facebook, Twitter, and on our YouTube channel. We will close out with one of CA's 2013-2014 Budget Plan Element videos. To find out more about the 2013-14 budget, visit Behind CA's Budget blog at budget1314.blogspot.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Harbaugh. I work in the Open Space Management Division of the Operations Service Bureau. I'm going to give you an idea of what goes into CA's recycling effort and how you can make a difference in our future too. About 5 years ago, CA ramped up the recycling efforts at all our facilities, and this year we've implemented a pilot recycling program in our open spaces. This will be an interactive video, and I hope that you ask questions as we go along.
Why do we recycle?
What? Did you hear that? We already have a good question. And I'm glad that you asked, because there's several reasons. The first reason, it saves energy. It takes about 90% less energy to manufacture an aluminum can from recycled aluminum. Recycled glass, about 50% less energy. Recycled paper, about 75% less energy. Recycling thus decreases our demand for fossil fuels and increases our energy independence. Second reason, there's a finite amount of resources in the world. Using recycled materials to manufacture products conserves natural resources, such as water and timber. The third reason, the cost of trash is going up, and anytime we can pull something out of the waste stream and recycle it, saves money. This is one of the blue recycling bins that are located throughout many of the CA facilities. What? Another question? Great.
What can go into those bins?
The CA recycling program is an all-in-one program where paper, like paper office supplies, plastics, like water bottles, glass, for those Perrier bottles, and metal, or soda cans, aluminum, can all be put into the same recycling container. CA has implemented a recycling program in the open space. We have started to put recycling collection containers in high-traffic areas. They're in areas like the Town Center lakefront, dockside at Lake Elkhorn, and some of our larger community playgrounds, like Jeffers Hill and Swansfield. As the pilot program progresses, we hope to expand the program and put more and more stations out there so that park users can have more opportunities to recycle. The same rules of all-in-one apply for the open space recycling collection containers. What was that?
What if someone throws trash in the recycling container?
That's another good question. Well, that is a concern for us as we collect the recycling materials, and we call those contaminants. The common contaminants that we find are food, styrofoam, and dog waste. If these are found in the container as we're collecting them, the whole container must be thrown in the trash. Hope you enjoyed the quick synopsis of our recycling effort, and hope that you use the CA recycling containers that we've provided at our facilities and our open space areas.
There's a lot going on in Columbia. Be a part of it. And remember, Columbia matters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.